Will supply our needs. And he's giving me dominion, yes. Power over man, them, yes. Everything I do is blessed. He promised me some great success. I am the authority, God of the majority, living in my liberty. So you might as well get used to me. I'm walking in authority. I'm living life without apology. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. I belong. So you might as well get used to me walking in prosperity. I'm walking in prosperity. I'm living life the way it's meant to be. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. I belong. So you might as well get used to me. Get something in your hand. 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 And wave it to the air. And wave it in the air. And wave it to the air. And wave it in the air. And wave it to the air. And wave it in the air. And wave it to the air. And I said 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So you might as well get used to me. I'm walking in authority. I'm living life without apology. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. I belong. So you might as well. One more time now. Get something in your hand. 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 And wave it to the air. 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 And I said 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So you might as well get used to me. I'm walking in authority. I'm living life without apology. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. I belong. So you might as well get used to me.
Thank you, Voices of Praise. Thank you, Richard. Today's lesson, Living the Truth, will be given by Reverend Evan Reed. Are you ready?
Yes. Good morning. Good morning. Are you ready, but can you handle it? Good. There's a truth that is held by philosophers, scientists, some theologians, poets, that there is a substance that permeates the entire universe. It is called by many names. It is called a spirit. It is called energy. It is called breath. It is called the infinite. And in the English world, it is called God. Everything in the universe is pressed out and shaped and formed out of this substance. Every living thing has life in this substance. I want you to take a look at yourself this morning. That many of us don't realize that we live out of a truth that is not based on what I just said. Because each one of us has formed our own individual truth. First about ourselves, then about God, and then about everything in the universe. And that truth that we hold is not true. It is only true to you or to me who think in that manner. But it's a universal truth that is ever present everywhere, equally. It is the only presence and the only power. Again, we call it God. Our truth is based on our appreciation of what is around us, based on what helped shaped us. We are all shaped by outside influences. As little children, we were born into a world that was unique wherever we were born. Tradition, customs, religious beliefs, political beliefs, national beliefs. We were immersed in all of this information, and we took some in, and we formed ourselves out of it. Like a seed, all of us have been planted in an environment, and that environment would have helped shape us. Although we come from the same pod, we are different. We are only different because we see ourselves different. But in reality, we are all spirit, flesh and blood, with the ability to express or to live. And yet still wars are fought because of these subjective truths that we all hold. We condemn, we judge, we criticize, because most of us believe our individual truth is the only truth. I smile sometimes to see how cruel Christians could be towards one another. Because each one of us, depending on our pathway to religion, believing that our religious concepts are the only truth, will condemn anyone who is not flowing in the direction that we are flowing. And yet still, the religious path that is called Christianity came out of the mouth of a wayshower called Jesus of Nazareth, who said, love God and love thy neighbor as thyself. That the truth should be based on love, not emotional love that judges, criticizes, and accepts based on that, but the love that says, I and the Father are one, and so are you. If I see you, I see my Father, for we are one. When we can rise above our own individual truths about anything, we begin to live the life that Jesus said was possible. Each one of us have formed our minds out of the information that comes to us. And yet still, although we do that independently. You know, I could recall families who ate the same food, drank the same water, went to the same schools, had the same parents, lived in the same house who fought like cats and dogs because of differences. Can you imagine that with me? Fighting with your brother and sister, although you have the same mother and same father. Because sometimes all it takes is a different shade, a different hair type, a different facial expression. Because most of us as Christians are in the judging business, we judge everything that is not in our likeness. Because the world that we live in, we have created out of our own minds, is not true. And many of us suffer from the judgments of others. And most of us never get over that judgment, and we die having lived a life that is based on falsehoods. I remember when I was a young person, I should use the word younger, because it suggests all sorts of thoughts for those of you who judge. So I have to be careful with my words. I remember as a little boy suffering from the word and action thoughts that were thrown at me. Not that they were bad, but the way I had formed my self-concept, I took them as weapons. You see, many of us in childhood, we go to school, we learn math, we learn French, we learn German, we learn science, but never been told who we really are. So when the storms of insults come to us, we retreat inside for protection, not knowing we should stand in strength. So we paint images of ourselves that are low. We have no worth, we have no value. And out of it, our behavior comes. Sometimes we could be quite aggressive and condemning and want to fight because we are protecting who we think we are. Can you imagine waking up one morning and realize there's nobody to fight with? Can you imagine that you could go anywhere and just be, not reacting to anybody around you? Can you imagine that? It's possible. The possibility of that happening, I don't want to give a percentage and spoil the fun. But all of us have been shaped by our early childhood perceptions of who we are. And some of us have so much talent, God-given talent to give the world, but we can't give it because of fear. Because we believe we will not be accepted for who we are. Because we were born in a certain part of town that was condemned as. Because we didn't go to the right school. Because our parents weren't the right ones for us. And we wish we had different parents who had different qualities. And we live our lives out of this truth that we held of ourselves. I remember when I was in my 20s and 30s, I would feel I would be in the center of a burning ring of fire, and I couldn't get out. I was so tormented inside because I had bought into all the stones that were thrown at me that came from the mouths and the bodies of others. And I tried to get out, and I couldn't get out. And I spent years in the center of that burning fire because I believed that people had to extinguish that fire before I get out. didn't know that the power to do all things came with the ability to live. That once I have life, I have the power to live and decide how I would live. I didn't know that. And many of us have lived lives of torment, not knowing that they don't have to live that way. Anybody could identify with my story? Just two of you, it's okay. But I'm here to share this morning that our truth about ourselves needs to be shifted to come in line with the truth of who we really are. And until that happens, we will always be looking for an outside Messiah to come, to change the circumstances on the outside so that we can have peace. If you don't have peace where you are, it means your concept of yourself needs to change. Because no one outside of you can bring peace to your circumstance. That discovery of self is so important to growth and to the expansion of your own life's ability and potential that is somewhere there. And if you could cast off these yokes of self-condemnation, self-criticism, all that is bad, and hold to that truth, I am the greatest gift that has ever lived. I come as light to bring clarity and understanding. I come to make a difference. As Jesus said, if you see me, you see the Father. If you see me, you see all that is good. I am no longer reactionary. I am no longer waiting for you to act so I could react. I am just living by action, and that action is motivated from who I know that I am. When you arrive at that point, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. My day of reckoning came, as I have said before, in a doctor's office. When I made a decision to live, I want to live. You see, change does not come unless there's a serious happening in your life that goes right through your body, your mind, your soul. One on death's bed, you realize that you have not lived before, that you can live. And then this quest for the truth begins. That quest requires that we do some serious forgiveness work. You see, when people hear the word forgive, they think it's about other people. To forgive is to release and let go all the beliefs and the thought patterns and emotions that have you stuck in the place that you are mentally, emotionally, and physically. You are where you are because of the truth you have proclaimed about your life. You can't be better than you are until change comes from within. You could want the world. You already have the world, but you can't realize you have the world unless you can see the world. And most of us can't see the world because all we have inside is darkness. The truth shall set you free. What truth? The truth that you are created in the image, likeness of God. And if God is absolute good, and therefore I am absolute good. That's my truth. That's where I begin to live. I have not lived until I can declare that. I and the Father are one. God is absolute good, and so am I. There is no deficiency in me. There's no poverty in me. There is no lesser than in me. There is no better than in me. I and the Father are one. And if you see me, that quality of goodness, because I know who I am, I don't have to put on airs or pretend. I can just be, and you can feel the essence flowing out of me. Somebody touch me, because the energy has been poured out of me. This is the Christian life that I'm talking about. A life based on seeking first the kingdom and all that is good, and then allowing the good to flow to you, flow through you, and go. That's what we are talking about. We are talking about releasing whoever you thought you were. You are better than who you thought you were. Who you were yesterday, you are no longer that. And who you are today is still short of the mark of what you could be tomorrow. If you can only discover in your search for yourself that you are already great. Greatness is not to come. Greatness is at hand. It's right wherever you are. It is within you. It is without you. It is who you are. We were not taught that. We were taught to judge ourselves by the color of our skin, our gender, or what we do with what we do with what we have. We were taught that you are educated or you're ignorant. We were taught all sorts of stuff, but we all were taught it that there were two things. You on this side and everybody else on that side. We were taught separation. And out of separation, we have built fear. We are afraid of anything that does not look like us, speak like us, act like us, shape like us. Once there's a difference and we see it, there can be no unity. We look to fight. Because we don't really realize who we really are. Do you know who you are? Jesus asked his disciples, "Who do men say that I am?" And some of them looked outside to the examples of men they had known from the scripture and says, "You, Moses, Elias, and all sorts of names." But then Jesus said, "Who do you say that I am?" I don't care what people think of me. Do I know who I am? Do you know who you are? See, when you know who you are, you could be. When you don't know who you are, you will never be. So simple. You have already arrived at your misery point. And you will stay miserable for the rest of your life. And one day something might wake you up. But soon as it's past, you fall back asleep. Because you really don't want to know. Because sometimes people have breakthroughs and realize, this is not me. And quickly fear sets in and says, well, don't even try. The sky above and the mud below you, stay in the mud. Because you're accustomed to the dirtiness of the mud. But your mind looks up and sees an eagle soaring And something says, I can soar too. But you look at the ground and you look at those around you and you say no. 10 years after that, the same image comes. You see the eagle, and what's in the eagle starts to emerge in you, but you put it down. And you reach 78. You see the eagle again soaring. And something in you says you can soar. You still have a chance to soar. Abraham was 75 years of age when he began on a new journey to prosperity, to soar. The only thing stopping you is the truth that you hold about yourself. Who do you say that you are? I want to give you a couple seconds to turn within for a moment. Who do you say that you are? Who do you say that you are? Who am I? Change can only come when there's a serious red light alert. Ping, 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 ping. Nowadays it comes on the cell phone. You're watching your favorite program and it comes on the TV. Ping, something missing. That alert is going on in your life every day. Something is missing. But you quicker watch the TV because that's where you spend your life, instead of watching the direction that your life is taking. Ping, 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 ping. Alert, alert, alert. Has something alerted you recently? Something you've been doing and you tell yourself, I don't need to do that anymore. Have you arrived there yet? Join with me and arrive. Join with me. Don't take what you have as it. It is not it. It is infinite. It has no boundaries. It is immeasurable. You could never experience it. It is always ahead of you. But if you settle for it as it is to you, what good is life? If you have already arrived at your state of comfort, why go to work anymore? You've arrived. Is this it? Is this it? I came that they can have life and have it what? More. I came that they could have more life and have it how? Abundantly. This is I'm just quoting from the Bible. Everything I'm telling you this morning is from the Bible. So if you figure that I'm not taking it from the Bible, you're wrong. Each one of us establish our own law based on what we hold to be true. A belief is a law that guides your life. Every word that you speak, every feeling that you have, every action, every reaction comes out of your individual life. You cannot have a different life unless you change the law that governs your experience. You are your own experience. You can't have anything else. So if you're satisfied with the misery, it's okay. Because some of us rebaptize the misery and call it goodness. Because most of us, we have the ability to baptize, to bring back to life in another form, but we bring back the same old, same old. You ever ask yourself, how come the same thing happens to me all the time? You know, sometimes we need some interaction in this place. Have you ever felt like the same thing is happening to you over and over? Have you ever asked yourself, why is this happening to me? I meet some beautiful circumstances and they all turn sour in 5 minutes. Nothing wrong with this stuff outside. It's you. It's you that is sour. You turn everything outside of you based on what's inside of you. Your judgment is cast on your entire world based on what's coming out of you. It is not what goeth in the man that defiles him, is what cometh out. What are you breathing forth into the world that you live in? That's a question you need to ask yourself. What am I bringing forth? What am I bearing? Because by my fruits, I am known. What am I bearing? What kind of fruits do I have? Oh. Have you gained any new people in your life? I'm not talking about you change doctors or dentists or lawyers. I'm not talking about that. Because you have changed, have you invited new people in your life, or is it the same old you have? You know when a change occurs inside, newness happens outside. If newness is not happening outside, I'm not talking about Eunice, I'm talking about newness. No change on the outside. It means that it's like a factory set up to produce rubber balls. But you don't want rubber balls anymore. But you have not reconfigured the factory to produce what you want. Square balls. So you keep putting in the same material, good stuff. First class 100%. But out comes wrong rubber balls. And you could get upset, you could get mad, you could complain until you change the inside, that which is producing the rubber balls that are wrong. You will keep getting them all in your life. You could ill speak the wrong rubber balls. But if the factory, the inside of you is configured in a belief system that says wrong rubber balls, that's what you will get for the rest of your life. Are you getting wrong rubber balls? And one square rubber balls? What are you getting? Huh? Let's talk. Nothing could go past your consciousness. You have been made out of the image of your own imagery of yourself. You cannot change unless you change the imagery that you have made yourself to become. That's it. That's how simple it is. This is what truth is. The truth is, your truth, if it is not looking good, needs to be changed. There's a substance that we each are using, which is perfect, whole, complete, called ideas. All of us are using the same ideas to produce the results that in our lives. So if the results are not good, hello now, has nothing to do with the ideas. It has to do with the inner workings of your mind. Be ye transformed by the what? Renewing of mind. That's the only way it's going to work. You got to change the truth you hold about yourself. You are not impotent. You are not powerless then. You are not valueless. You are not holding low self-esteem. You are a wonderfully made being created in the image likeness of God. You are God's manifestation of what is possible. That which is good, that which is holy, that which is just in the nature of God. That's who you are in reality. If you're not seeing yourself in that way, you need to make a change. Anybody in here feel I'm speaking to them? Yes. Huh? Yes. I'm not. I'm speaking to myself to wake up myself, to get myself going again. Because sometimes we have these lapses where we lapse back into the past. And all those little childhood, you see the child is father of the man, and the childhood stuff resonates. And sometimes when you have to do something new and different, that little boy says, Evan, you can't do that. How could you do that? What are they going to call you now? I need to paint a picture before me that is beautiful and walk to that picture. It's not that the picture is beautiful. It's that the mind that casts the picture is beautiful. And I'm reuniting myself with the beauty that is everywhere present, wherever I am. You can't have it if you don't see it. If you keep seeing the same old thing, you will get the same old thing. And may God bless you for that as you continue to have the same old thing. And may God bless you if you decide to have a new thing. God bless.
You deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it. Yes, you do. You deserve it. My hallelujah. My hallelujah belongs to you. 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 You deserve it. You deserve belongs to you.
All of the glory, Lord, yeah.
All of the glory belongs to you.
You deserve it.
You deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it.
Sing hallelujah.
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 All the glory.
All the glory.
All the honor.
All the honor.
All the praise.
All the praise. You deserve it. 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 You deserve it.
Sing hallelujah.
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 All the glory.
All the glory.
All the honor.
All the honor.
All the praise.
All the praise. You deserve it. 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 My hallelujah belongs to you. My hallelujah belongs to you. My hallelujah belongs to you. Oh Lord, yes. My hallelujah belongs to you.
Your state of mind will determine your outer estate. Everything in your life is dependent on what you think about yourself, who and what you think you are. A reminder, we were planning to have the annual general meeting, but again, we are still working with receipt of the report from the accountants who are doing the review for us. As soon as we get note, we will, membership, we will notify you this week by email if we get it. Once we get notice of when we will get it, we will notify you. Please bear with us. We want to get it right, and we want to have it in a state that you can have it at least the Sunday before the annual general meeting, that you can go over it and come with your penciled in notes. So that's the work that is happening. So please be patient with us. God is not through with us yet. If you have envelopes, this is a time to take them out and place them in your left hand. If you have whatever you have to give, just place it in the left hand and just cover with the right. Know that divine love has brought it to me. And as I let it go, divine love will govern it. For freely it came, and freely I release it. I release it knowing that it's going to the good to support this center. So when I come again, it will be here. Through the power of God in me, I give, knowing that I have already received. And so it is. And let us sing, God is so good.